What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Get Ellievated podcast with your girl, Ellie Talks Money. Today's episode is going to be amazing. You guys have been blowing up my inbox, my DMs, my comments, everything about real estate. So we are going to have a super special conversation about that today. You guys know that the Get Ellievated podcast is the number one place to go to hear from entrepreneurs that have been in the game, that are making money, so you can really understand what you can do to start and scale a successful business as well. So grab your notebook, grab a pen, get somewhere cozy so you can listen in and watch this episode, and I will be introducing my guests when we come right back. Listen, everything you need to change your life is already within you. You need to believe that it has to work or it has to work. You got this. Scale your business, make more money, create your best life, and let's get elevated. Welcome to the podcast. All right, y'all, welcome back into the show. So, as I mentioned, we are talking all things real estate today. And y'all, I am so excited. You guys know I love real estate. I don't teach real estate, but I love to be a part of real estate. But this queen is just a goat. And she's a queen. She's doing it in this real estate game. So Stephanie, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Stephanie at My Life is Real Estate, and I'm super excited to be here. To tell you a little bit about me, I've been in real estate since 2013. It has its ups, its downs, but it's been nothing but a blessing. I come from an education background, so I was a school counselor. And from there, being in a service profession, like we were talking about, you don't make that much money.
Yeah.
So I decided that I needed a side hustle, which became real estate, and my side hustle turned into my full-time hustle.
And we love it. That's exactly what we want. So take me back to those moments where you're a school counselor, not making money. You're like, damn, I'm tired of this. And you think about real estate. How do you make real estate a side hustle? Because the thought is it costs money to get involved.
Yes. So taking you back.
Yes.
I wasn't as a school counselor that long. It was 3 years practically.
You're like, I got to get out of here.
3 years. So I knew that I wanted to have a flexible career. And with education, you get holidays, when the kids off, you off, summers and so forth. But with real estate, I was just like, wow, I'm making money while I'm sleeping. So how that happened was that I started out with my first property, house hacking. How I bought my first property, though, however, even though I had W-2 income, I bought it with a college refund check and a neighborhood lift grant through Wells Fargo.
What?
So Wells Fargo was giving out $15,000. Yes.
Are they Wells Fargo? Where y'all at? Hello, calling Wells Fargo.
So Wells Fargo was giving out $15,000. They had a city lift and a neighborhood lift program depending on your city.
Oh, wow.
I took advantage of it. It happened to be at a convention center. I ran there on my lunch break. I literally already was pre-approved through a lender, and so they gave me the grant on the spot in less than 30 minutes. Yes. They just asked me some questions and gave me a grant. And so from there, I was able to obtain funding for my down payment, closing costs, and with a college refund, it just helped me with appraisal fees, inspections, and so forth.
Just to cover that. And you took out a mortgage on this.
A mortgage, $350 mortgage, and the house that I bought, how it got me into real estate to be an investor is that house appraised a year later for triple what I bought it for. Triple. Didn't even know.
Flip it.
Didn't even know.
Triple it.
Didn't even know. So I like to be able to alleviate the misconception that you do need money to get into housing.
Yeah.
Do you want to put yourself in position? Of course you want to.
Yeah.
You need to be saving.
Yes.
You're going to need furniture. You're going to need certain things.
Need some stuff.
You need to put yourself in position because there are closing costs. There are some fees on the front end. However, get with an agent. They should know grants that may be in your area. Housing counselors may know certain opportunities that you can take advantage of. Even Section 8 have programs to help you from being a renter to being a homeowner.
Yeah.
So definitely, I started with a college refund check and a neighborhood lift grant. Shout out to Wells Fargo. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Right? So tell me, that's so amazing. And it goes to show that you don't need a lot of money to start in real estate or to start making a lot of money either, right?
No.
And to really get that portfolio going. So for someone who doesn't live in Philly, who is in a place like crazy ASS California where prices are super high, how do we find those kinds of programs? Like, where should a person start?
So housing counselors, talking to your local agent, and that's if they're looking to be like a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
If you're looking to be an investor, that's a whole nother conversation. So as an investor, there are ways that you can get into real estate with little money. I'm not going to say necessarily no money, but little money.
Yes.
One way could be if you want to build capital through wholesaling. So that is, I used to teach a course that's called Selling a Piece of Paper for Thousands.
Ooh.
So basically, when I was doing wholesaling, like full time doing wholesaling, that's basically what wholesaling is. You're literally finding someone who wants to sell their home, and you're selling that contract. You're selling that piece of paper for thousands. And so if someone sells a piece of paper for $10,000 or $20,000, that could be able to help you
get into the game.
Yeah, so that's how I define wholesaling. So wholesaling is one way if they have little to no money and they want to invest. Another way is through seller financing, when the seller becomes the bank. Okay, so you may find a home, and you may find a home where you have a tired landlord.
Yeah.
So the landlord may still want to get those monthly payments, but they don't want to deal with the maintenance. They don't want to deal with the drama.
Yeah.
So you say, look, you don't have to deal with the maintenance. I'll take care of the maintenance. You don't have to deal with the drama. I'm not calling you for anything because I still want to be able to help you achieve getting your monthly payments, but I'm going to be paying you directly, and I'm just going to take ownership of the home. So seller financing. So there's definitely several ways.
Look at me getting my thinking cap on. Wow, but you know what? It's true. Like, there are so many ways to get into it. So I want to ask you this as well. When someone is thinking about getting into real estate, do you recommend they go through the door of starting as a single family home investor or getting their own home, or deciding to be an actual investor and going the investor route? Because it sounds like you found a place to live and then was like, you know what? I like this. Let me start investing full time. And is that the path? Is it just live somewhere, buy a home, and then say, you know what, I want to invest?
It depends on the age. So when I bought my first home, I believe 2013, I was like 22, 23 years old. Yeah. So it depends on the age. I had no kids. A lot of times, a lot of people you may hear, even real estate gurus, you may hear them say, hey, get a multifamily. If you want to get a multifamily, great. It just depends on your position or where you're at.
Yes.
And because I didn't go the multifamily route. Now, if I could have found a quadplex back then that tripled in value, I'd be living large right now. However, I went and bought a $45,000 house that's in a really nice neighborhood in Philly.
Wow.
It just happened to be it happened to be a short sale. And so I bought this property, but I still treated it like a multifamily because I house hacked. So I literally was still making money in a single family home because I had no kids at the time. Yeah. So I'm young. I'm 22, 23 years old. I have my first property. So why not have roommates?
Yeah.
I was still in college. I was in my master's program at the time. So it's like having roommates. So literally I went to renting two of my bedrooms, one for $600, one for like $550. So I literally was cash flowing almost about $700 to $800 plus a month because my mortgage was only like around $350. So don't quote me on that math and everything. Just know mortgage was $350, and subtract whatever I was getting for rent.
That's so genius. House hacking, right?
House hacking.
You don't need to feel like you have to start with a multi-unit, because let's face it, multi-units now as well are expensive.
Yeah, they are. They're gonna cost
pretty much everywhere.
They're gonna cost. They're gonna cost,
but you can be creative with it.
Correct.
And rent out each room in the home.
I will say multifamilies are going to cost if you're searching where everyone is searching. So I just had a student who purchased a quadplex for $250,000. Yes. I was like, where you get this
Where?
at? Yes. But what I do is I'll teach my students, like, search where other people aren't searching. Yeah. Because, I was buying properties and still can for $25,000. $30,000.
No, man.
Whereas in California, you ain't getting a $25,000.
You can't get a piece of land for $25,000.
So one of the key things, if you're looking to be an investor, if your audience if you have someone that's looking to be an investor, sometimes don't think that you can't afford something. Sometimes search where other people aren't searching. So I'll give an example. In Pennsylvania, everyone knows Philly or Pittsburgh. Yeah. Okay. But people don't realize you got 67 counties in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia is just one county out of 67 counties.
Yeah.
So you don't think that these little counties and these
People
little cities and townships got some homes that are cheap, cheap in price. So I know this one girl on Instagram, she markets selling properties for $10,000, $15,000, wholesaling them. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got work to do, y'all. We got work to do.
So they're out here.
You know, I love the fact that you have students. So tell me, where has your passion now that you've been in real estate, where does it come from? And why do you, what do you really want your students to gain? Like, why do you teach people how to do this?
Okay. So I'm going to be honest. So real estate is not a passion.
Okay.
My passion is time freedom, financial freedom. And I seen that real estate can lead towards that with passive income.
I love
because
that.
I like to make sleep money. I like to be sleeping.
Hello.
Yes. So I'm going to be very transparent. It was a side hustle because I noticed that I would just see firefighters, police officers. They seemed like they always were in real estate because that, you know, we didn't make that much money.
Yeah.
And for me being a school counselor, so I won't say real estate is a passion of mine, but educating others. I come from a few family members that are educators and so forth. So like I said, I joined education because the summer's off.
Yeah.
So, but in the midst of that, I do like helping others. I did the Myers-Briggs a long time ago. I have like a service personality. So with that being said, a service and a helping personality. So with that being said, education falls in where just being able to teach people what I know.
Yeah.
Teach people what I know. What I know. I mean, there's so many houses out here. It's so much land. Forget about the physical. There's so much land out here. So why not be able to own a piece of it?
So I love that. And you know what? That passion is real. Time freedom, sleep money, financial freedom. Hello. That's the real passion. And real estate is the vehicle. Yes. So how can someone who is brand new, right? Let's say I own no doors.
Yep.
How do I go from no doors to 6 figures?
To 6 figures. All right. So I have a 6-figure blueprint. Do they want the blueprint? Do y'all want the blueprint? Do y'all want it? Y'all,
let's go.
Let me know. All right. So we're going to go here. We're going to give you the blueprint. A little shinkity. All right. So basically with this blueprint, it's 2 homes, 2 teams, and 1 dream. I'm going to repeat that. 2 homes, 2 teams, and 1 dream. And so with that being said, is that the dream is to get to 6 figures. Yeah. All right. So for some of you who may be in small cities, when I say small, let's just say small cities that, you know, you are surrounded by homes that the after repair value is like $250,000. So let's say they're neglected, abandoned homes, and you're buying them for $50,000, $60,000, maybe $20,000, $30,000. The goal is that you want to hit 6 figures by at least making a profit of $50,000. Yes. $50,000 each. All right. So you're going to need 2 homes to get to that 6 figures. All right. So that's a net profit of $50,000. You're going to need 2 teams. Right. And I say that you can do this 6 figures in 6 months. All right. Woo! So how many of you want to get to 6 figures in 6 months? Let us know. Okay. So with that being said, this is a flipping strategy. Okay. It's a flipping strategy. So what you're going to do is you're going to purchase a home. It may take you 30 days to purchase the home. Yeah. After you purchase the home, you're going to go ahead and you're going to set your team up for about 3 months into these homes. Now, when I say 3 months, full gut renovations. Okay. So you're going to know who your contract is going to be the same day you're closing, the same day or the next day you're doing your demo. Okay. Wow. You starting. All right. So now we're all in for 4 months. 1 month of the purchasing a home, 3 months to be able to fix the home up, and let's give it 45 to 60 days to be able to sell it. Yes. All right. So, so with that being said, you're going to have 2 teams because if you have one contractor that may take a long time to be able to fix it up, you need another one. Yeah. And so then from there, you just go to the closing table. That's the short version. But you're going to need to know who you need to be able to have on your team. You're going to know how to be able to get the funding. There's so many different ways to get funding, to be creative with it in order to get into these properties. But it's definitely achievable if you just follow the blueprint. And literally, I'm telling you, this is the step. You find 2 homes. You can find homes on MLS. wholesalers. You can find homes with
driving around, I've heard too.
Yeah, driving around, but they have to know how to skip trades. They got to know how to do all those things.
Yeah.
So if you just want to slow walk it, find a wholesaler, find homes on Facebook groups. How I found most of my homes, I was telling my students this the other day, how I found most of my homes recently, Ellie, have been through networking events. Crazy.
Really?
Crazy. One home that I found, literally, I was at a lending networking event. I conversed with this young lady a couple times prior. She told me she had a house. I jumped on it right away. I said, you got the keys right now, so I'll go see it. I knew it was in a great area. And at the time when I got out under contract, we got in contract for $33,000. It was worth $200 as is, like $200 as is. Do you know I'm still working on it right now because we took longer to close.
Yeah.
It's worth $375 now for what I did to it, and I bought it for $33,000. And I met her at a networking event.
But how her house worth $200K and she sold it for $33?
It was because it needed fixing up.
So the after repair value was
the after repair value was $200. So I bought it for $33. But now I put up $140 into it, and so now it's like about $200,000 in equity. I took the roof off, girl. I didn't went up a level.
Oh wow!
But the power of networking.
Yes.
And we keep in contact now. And I told her whatever you need as far as help with another house, or I can walk her through certain things. Just being in the right room. So a lot of my deals I found. We had an event. A meetup called Cash and Coffees in Philly. And at 7:00 in the morning, we would meet every Saturday. And I got another good deal. It was in New Jersey. I jumped on it. That was like my first out-of-state property. And I jumped on it, made about $60,000 net profit. And I got that one for $45,000 from a wholesaler.
In Jersey.
From a wholesaler. It had solar panels on it, girl. Ooh. And it was only a cosmetic rehab.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So I say that to say the power of networking. So if you're asking questions such as how can you find these deals, to get you to the 30-day closing table out to 6 months, find them from networking events. Find them pitch nights when people are pitching deals, wholesalers or agents are pitching deals, MLS. Just
now,
networking.
what's a pitch night? Where do those happen?
So I found them on Meetup.com.
Wow.
Meetup.com. So I would find, like, in Philly we have pitch nights. So before COVID, at least.
Yeah.
Before COVID.
Now everybody in the house.
But they do have virtual pitch nights. So that's basically where they're just pitching deals. They may have a deal under contract and they're looking for buyers.
Shit, I'm about to sign up for some pitch nights.
Listen.
No, that's a great way to get into it. Now, I want to ask you this as well. So, I talk a lot about funding. I'm always making sure my students get some business credit. So, if they do want to get into this world of flipping and you're, 2 homes, 2 teams, 1 dream,
they need some money.
What are some ways, to fund these deals?
Great question. So, basically, I have a little secret sauce, and I'm just going to say what I do, and I'm going to leave it at that. All right? I wholesale deals to myself. Y'all have to figure it out for yourself, but I get checks back at the table, let's just say the least. And I do that through wholesaling deals to myself. Got to learn about the strategy and go from there, but that's how I get money back at the table.
Yes.
So for that $33,000 deal I told you about that I paid $33,000, the lender thinks that I paid $65,000 because I wholesaled it to myself. But technically, it's not to myself, but it's to myself.
But business
is to myself.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
So now, the wholesaler gets a check at the table.
Hello.
And the wholesaler gets a check for $30-something thousand.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to go shopping. No. I mean, you could take a little trip.
Yeah.
But what I do is that I use that money now to fund the closing costs and the first draw for my construction. So it's a whole strategy to it. But so that's the secret sauce for the day. All right, we out. Say no. So other ways that you can, for people who aren't familiar with wholesaling, that's a whole strategy. Hard money lenders. With hard money lenders, you're going to need about 30 to 35%.
Okay.
So how do people get 30 to 35%? What they do is they're getting lines of credits, they're getting credit cards. Potentially, I like for persons to use the business side because it won't reflect on your personal. But if you only have personal starting out, okay, you can use your personal. Yeah, just go ahead and then once again, you should be flipping these homes within 6 months, and you just pay it right back, and you'll be good to go.
And get up out the deal.
Yes, and you'll pay it back once you make the money from the flip. So even though you need 30 to 35% to get into a hard money deal, hard money lenders typically let's take it back a step further. With lending, you have traditional funds and you have non-traditional. Traditional, you're going to have your FHA, your VA, your conventional, so forth. But as an investor, with traditional funds, they don't usually give construction loans. Okay, the only one is like the FHA 203K, the construction loan for the FHA. But as an investor, you can use hard money, private lenders, and so forth. You can get construction loans. And that's where they do require, typically, like with hard money lenders, 30 to 35%, they want to see liquid. So you can liquidate them from credit cards. You can liquidate them. I have a girlfriend that teaches about whole life policy. So okay. So you can liquidate them from so many different ways, so many different factors to be able to get into real estate.
Y'all, my head is officially exploded. Okay. But
wow. And I want people to know that I'm speaking from two standpoints. You have one, whereas you can get in real estate with a little bit of money on the traditional funding side, FHA, conventional, but then I'm also speaking as an investor. And as an investor, you do need some type of capital, and there's certain ways that you can get creative to get that capital. But if you're just starting out, sure, you can, a lot of people talk about it. You can get the quad or the triplex, and you can house hack in one and then use the two, and you can use that as income. And there's so many different ways. And with FHA, you only need 3.5%.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and I love what you said about creative, right? I think what I would want the audience to gain from this is like, there's no rule book of this is the right way to do real estate. You know, it's really about getting in the game, figuring it out, trying different things. And I think what you also mentioned is getting in the room, right? Networking.
The room is important.
Oh, the room is important.
Yes, it is.
Getting a mentor, right? Asking questions. So we're going to take a little break, you guys. So get some water, you know, take a little refresher, and then we'll be right back with some more questions for Stephanie. Hey, future millionaires. Thank you so much for tuning in to Get Ellivated, my live coaching and podcast show. I absolutely love sharing this value with you, and I want to make sure that you're tapped in to all the other resources I provide for you here on the channel, as well as in my academy, Ellievatedacademy.com. You guys know that I'm so passionate about helping you start and scale your businesses online, build business credit, get access to funding, and just overall creating multiple income streams. So I want to make sure that you are tapped into my Wealth Masterclass. You can get the link to that down below or by going to Ellievatedacademy.com and enroll ASAP. I'll see you guys in the Masterclass. Bye. All right, y'all, welcome back to the podcast. So we got more and more gems to drop. So Stephanie, you basically blew my mind in the first half. And now what I really want to dive into is we talked a little bit about wholesaling. Okay. And I've watched wholesaling. I've taken a wholesaling course. I understand it. But I do believe, like what you said, it's a great way to get your cash flow up to then help you get into a bigger investment. So how can somebody get started?
All right. So it's not easy, and I'm just going to say that.
Yes, and you're right. It takes work.
It takes work. In wholesaling, I would have not been able to make it to six figures my first year if it wasn't with a team. Okay. Yeah. So partnership, I believe, is key. And how you get into wholesaling is you find houses. You can drive for dollars or walk for dollars if you don't have a car. Right. Okay. How I started out in wholesaling was literally. It wasn't even with my phone. It was with a notepad. I can't even say it was with my phone. With a notepad and a pen. And as I drove around and almost got into a couple accidents, I forgot people was behind me. I'd be like, oh, there go a house. Stop. And then stopping in the middle of the street, writing the address down, going on to the next house. And then from there, skip tracing. So there's a lot of free websites. Yes. Now don't go start searching for people. But True People Search, FastPeopleSearch.com. These are websites where if you know who the owner is, and you can find out who the owner is through your county, city website. From there, you can now take that address or that name and you can put it into these websites that can now skip trace. And that's on a smaller scale, free scale. Now, I've used companies like Lead Sherpa where I do bulk skips to find owners, but I'm also paying for that as well. So that's like if I have like 1,000 properties, or even if I have 100 properties and I want to put them into a database, I'm not skipping individually. But if you're just starting out, You want to find a property. After you find a property, then you want to skip trace the property to find the owner. After you find the owner, then you want to now contact that owner and you want to schedule an appointment. You're not trying to tell them how much you're offering them on the phone. You want to schedule an appointment because you need to do a walkthrough
of the property.
Okay.
Yes.
Because in order to get to your offer, you need to know what is the work that's needed in the property.
Yeah.
So that's once you find a motivated seller. Okay. Don't get discouraged if you hear so many no's before you get to that one yes, because you could hear 100, 200, maybe 300 no's before you get to that one yes.
Yeah.
I was not a big skip tracer starting out in a cold caller. So I paid someone on Fiverr $6 an hour.
Oh.
There's definitely cheaper people than that, but sorry, I lied. Not Fiverr. I paid on Upwork.com.
Okay,
Upwork.com.
Yes.
Similar. So basically, shout out to Maria.
Yeah.
So that's my girl. So basically, skip tracing, cold calling the person. After you cold call them, then you schedule an appointment. After you schedule the appointment, you give them a number after you assess the property. It will be very hard for wholesalers to sometimes give an accurate construction number if you don't know anything about construction.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm a licensed contractor, so it's a little benefit.
Know. Yeah.
But what I can say is that continue to work with contractors. If you want to pay them for their time until you learn, it's all a learning process. So pay someone $100 to come out, check out, some properties or so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is their time, but they can teach you some things along the way. So after you offer them, your number and so forth, you want to do your best to get the contract signed. You don't want to leave that property without getting it signed, because as fast as you walked in, someone else could be walking in behind you.
Shoot.
Okay. So you want to make sure that you understand how to negotiate and how to be able to run your numbers to be able to make the house appealing to now an investor, because after you get it under contract with that seller, that motivated seller, you now need to find an investor. Okay. And then so we have two contracts in this transaction typically. That's an AB contract, which is your agreement of sale. So that is between the buyer and the seller. The buyer is going to be that wholesaler.
Yes.
But then you're going to have a little clause in there. It's a little clause that you always have to have in there. And or assignee. That means that gives you the right to assign that contract now. And then the next contract you're going to have is what's called a BC contract. And that contract is between the wholesaler now and the end buyer, the actual buyer. So you're going to have two contracts. What, with wholesaler?
Once you
assign it to the end buyer. Correct. Now you're in the deal, but you're out of being the buyer.
Right.
You are now the wholesaler, and you will get an assignment at the
closing table.
The closing table. You'll get an assignment fee at the closing table. So you'll still be on the HUD, and you still have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
on that money.
You're not fully out the way.
Yes.
Oh, wow. And so then you stay in coordination with the original seller. They come to the closing table. They finish the process. The money goes over to them. You just get a part of the fee. So it's still like that person is still selling a house. You're just, a part of it.
Yes. You're helping them sell their house. And you want to be very transparent when you're doing these, because there may be times where contractors need to walk through.
Yes.
And you just can simply say certain things like, hey, I work with a pool of investors and we're interested in purchasing your house.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a part of this transaction with you
to
be able to get your house sold for you.
Yeah,
Excuse
sold.
me.
And so with regard to, you mentioned driving around and looking, what are some signs people can look for on a house to know if this is like a motivated seller?
Right. Tall grass, broken windows, tall grass, broken windows, old awnings. Like a lot of times people don't have awnings, so maybe that could be an older person, maybe typically that lives there, or just someone who's, home may look a little outdated. So neglected homes. Also, a big thing that I see in Philly sometimes is when people have sheets in the windows. Like you don't have curtains, you got sheets, but it's consistent. Like you come back here like a month later and it's still sheets. Okay? So we're not knocking the people who just moved in, okay?
Right.
But if I see sheets a month down the road,
something going on.
Yeah. So sometimes it can be something as simple as sheets. Sometimes me as a contractor, I may see foundational issues, and that can be a big thing where what if a person can't afford to fix the foundation?
Yes.
And they want a means out. We're in the business as wholesalers, we're in the business to be able to help solve a problem.
Yeah.
So if a person doesn't even want to sell, I like to be able to be a resource as well. So always remember that at the end of the day, always remember that these are persons who these homes can be sentimental.
Right.
Okay? So, so if they don't want to sell and you hear all of these no's, try to be a resource to that person. Or even if you go on an appointment and they say, you know what, they're not interested, be a resource, because they'll respect that. And they may not be ready to sell, but they may be ready later on, and they may remember you, one, or they may know someone who may be ready to sell.
Yes. Networking.
So wholesaling is a great way if you're someone who does not have capital to be able to get into real estate. But also remember that this is not easy. This is a full-time job. You need to have a system, and you need to be consistent each day. So I don't care if you say, you know what, I don't have that much time. If you can make 30 minutes each day, start out small. Start out small. Okay. Sometimes I say I don't have time to exercise as much, so I start out with 5-minute increments and work my way up. So if you can take 10, 15 minutes a day and work your way up 30 minutes to an hour a day, be consistent, because that is what's going to be key to help you to be successful. Mm-hmm. It's not about, sometimes the money that you're making. It's about the consistency. It's about the mindset.
Yeah.
So wholesaling will test your patience, definitely, because it can take you a while to get a deal.
But it's, I love
the checks are nice.
Saying. Yeah, because it's a great skill to have once you know it, how to do it.
Correct.
You can always go back and run the play. Right?
Correct.
If you need funding for a deal and you're like, you know what, let me flip it, dip it, get a wholesale contract real quick, mm-hmm. Now you got your $30,000, $20,000, $50,000 that you might need.
In real estate, when you come across deals, you need to ask yourself, can you do this deal? And if you can do this deal, how do you want this deal to play out? So wholesaling is just one exit strategy.
Yeah.
If I run across a deal that I'm like, you know what, I really don't want to touch it, but maybe one of my friends may want to touch it.
Right.
Then now I can run a wholesale play. If I want to touch it, we talked about different exit strategies during the break. If I want to touch it and then I need to ask myself, do I want to flip it or do I want to hold it?
Exactly.
And if I want to hold it, how much work do I want to put into this if I want to hold it? Or even if I want to flip it, what do I feel like doing right now? Depending on how much money I want to make, basically.
And
it's
I
a
love
feeling.
That. It is. And I think that's why a lot of, our audience listening have to be able to understand, okay, what type of real estate investor do I want to be? Do I want to do short term? Do I want to do long term? Mm-hmm. Do I want to flip? Do I want to hold? So I know you do a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. What made you decide which type of investor you are? And do you like one more than the other? Or, what are your thoughts there?
It's tough. So I do both. I am a buy and hold investor.
Yeah.
I am also a flipper.
Yeah.
Either way, each project that I finish, it feels great to be able to finish it. When I started, I asked myself, what do I envision the end to look like? So when you're getting into a project, you want to ask yourself, what does the end look like for you?
Yes.
Also you have to run your numbers to know, does this make sense? For rent, to know if it's a good rental, I like to use the 1% rule. So if I know if I do the BRRRR strategy, I'm going to be all in, let's say $265, and I can't get $2,600 in rent, then I know that this is not a good play for me.
Right.
If I'm only getting $2,000, I know I'm under the 1% rule, so this may be a better flip for me potentially.
Yes. The
so
1% rule.
Yeah, so I have a 1% rule that I use. So it can be more things, but that's the easiest way to break it down. So I know that, hey, this may be like, cause I have one of these coming up where I acquired a property that's worth like $600,000 and it's in a great neighborhood, great school district. And I may be all in, like, let's say $300, but I know the rents may not even be $3,000 in that area.
Okay.
So
that's not a good buy and hold.
It's not a good buy and hold. So I'm going to flip it. Whereas I may be able to flip it and make like $200,000 off of it.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, be in and out basically.
I love that 1% rule. That's a really good way to assess deals too, and to know, is this worth keeping for the long term? So let's talk about scaling this up. Right. Okay. Someone starts with one property.
All right.
How do they get to 2, then 5, then 10? Right. And what does that look like in terms of their passive income over a 20-30 year period?
Okay. So I think the first thing that I want people to recognize that are listening is that it can be done. Yeah. I think let's start from the beginning. It can be done. don't think that you can't get here, because I don't know the entire backstory, but I can only tell y'all, from me, I came from a single parent who made $20,000, okay, a year to make ends meet, walking around with holes in her stockings to make sure I got to practices and cheerleading, basketball, playing AAU, going to Catholic school. I came from that type of parent. So don't think because you see us that, have, $1 million businesses now, don't think that you can be there, because we all started from somewhere. So I think when people think 10 houses, that may be a lot of homes, okay? I own currently under 20 properties, and I have a portfolio currently around like $3 million real estate portfolio. A lot of that was scaling up during COVID as well, so taking advantage of that. But I say this to say that it's possible, and I want to give y'all some numbers, okay? So we're going to break some things down. I told y'all that I started out as a school counselor, okay? Started out as a school counselor. I made $40,000 a year. I want your audience to understand that $40,000 a year over the course of 30 years, and after you need to work to a certain age. So if you start out at 20 and you hit at 50, some jobs you got to work to 65 to get your pension, okay? So, but if you work at a job for 30 years, that is $1.2 million if you stayed at $40,000 a year, all right? This is what the average, I think, African-American family may make, right? Which is, it's kind of low, okay? So it may even be lower than that, but we just want to stick with 40. So I started out as a school counselor making $40,000 a year, right? $40,000 a year. 30 years, $1.2 million, right? If you just own 10 doors, it don't even have to be 10 properties. You can get 3 triplexes and 1 single family, okay? That's 4 properties, okay? All right? Or 1 quad and 2 triplexes.
Right.
All right? So if you just own 10 doors, all right? At 10 doors, at cash flowing, let's just say you cash flowing $1,000 a month. I have a property that I'll cash flow $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year, and that's cash flow. We're not even talking gross. This is cash flow. All right. So with $12,000 over the course of that 30 years, that one property will get you $360,000. All right.
That one
property. All right. So now if we 10x that, like Grant Cardone always saying 10x, right? If we 10x that property, and guess what, guys? Now we've tripled from that 1.2 million to 3.6 million, right? In the course of 30 years. So why do you think you're not worth making 6 figures? Why do you think you're not worth making 7 figures? We as a culture need to start normalizing 6 figures and 7 figures, because it's easy to be able to obtain. It's easy. You are obtaining, if you make $40,000 or even if you make less, you're obtaining at least $1 million in your lifetime. Right? That's gross though. I'm saying going with his cut, right? But if you can learn how to be able to change your mindset, to know that you're worth this, and to follow these blueprints that you're hearing from people, just start following these blueprints and you will be successful. That's how you're going to scale. You're going to scale from changing your mindset. You're going to scale from being consistent, and you're going to scale just by executing. Executing. It's a big thing.
Execution is key, and that breakdown is so powerful because 10 properties may sound like a lot to new real estate ears, but it's not that many.
No.
I mean, 10 properties in a year would be 1 property per month, which is very doable, right? If you've got the funding programs, if you understand relationships, if you've got a network, if you're going about hard money lenders, I mean, like, it's something that's very achievable. And like you said, if you get a duplex, triplex, or quadruple,
we're talking only buying 4 properties. If you buy 4 properties, it doesn't have to be 10 houses.
Exactly.
4 properties, 4 doors, or I mean, I told you about the Airbnb with the rooms.
Yeah.
I got one house that got
all these rooms.
8 rooms. So that's 8 doors right there.
Literally.
But that's another story for another day.
No, but that scaling strategy is key. And I think it's really important for people to realize that, real estate is a long game, like you mentioned.
Correct.
But you got to be diversifying. It's not enough to have a job, even if your job is a good job. No. Even if you have a great business. you've got to be diversifying, you know? So in addition to real estate, what are some things that you advise your students or your mentees to do to expand their overall wealth portfolio?
Okay. So I can't say other than real estate, but I do have multiple streams in real estate, and that's what I talk to my students about. So the majority of my stream, 90% of my streams are through real estate.
Yes.
So when I talk to my students, it's not just about flipping, or it's not just about doing the BRRRR strategy.
Yeah.
They can do the BRRRR strategy, own a property, and they can do Airbnb. So
Right.
I don't do Airbnb arbitrage. I don't talk about it, but I do Airbnb.
Yes.
So with that being said, I own my properties though. So Airbnb is a significant stream of income for me.
Yeah.
Significant. Flipping properties is a stream of income. Also being a licensed contractor. So I told you that basically I teach students about how to be able to make thousands without swinging a hammer.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a licensed and insured general contractor, and I have a team.
Yeah.
The team does the work. Now, do I have to do some work? Yes, I do paperwork. I make sure people are where they need to be.
Right.
But then I also have a construction manager. So the construction manager should be doing those same things too, to be able to manage the project.
That's amazing.
Yes. So I teach people how they can be able to be their own licensed and insured contractor.
Yes.
So Airbnb. Wholesaling, I actually work with someone now where if I have a deal, I'll send it to them. I still will make money off of it.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing the following through, doing the dispositions or acquisitions of wholesaling anymore.
Yeah. You're just,
But I do have other streams
I love it.
in that nature.
I love it. And that's a great, it just further goes to show that being in real estate doesn't just mean having the houses, right? There are so many ways to make money in real estate.
Yes.
Yeah, so many.
Definitely. So I'll give you another little gem. So if you find somebody that knows how to do, let's say you're a licensed contractor and you find somebody that knows how to frame, for example. All right. So if you find somebody they know how to frame and your framer quotes you, let's say $3,000 for a job. Now, I know that I can go over here and they can do, and my client will pay me $5,000. Now I just made $2,000, and literally in 2 days.
In 2 days.
In 2 days.
Off a phone call.
Off of a phone call. I do the same thing. So with roofs, with my company, we do roofs.
Yes.
We do windows capping. But I'm not on nobody's roof. Now you will see me on social media taking a picture climbing up a ladder, for my content.
Do it for the content.
On this roof, y'all need roofs. Y'all just let me know. But that's you won't find me with a picture on the roof. You find me climbing up the ladder.
Exactly. There's a difference. I love that.
I just peek to make sure. Okay, looks good, guys. All right. Thank you. All right.
Down now.
Snap a picture for me real fast. Click. All right. But yeah, so I still make sure that the things are running smoothly.
Yeah, that's genius.
I like the management part of it.
Yeah.
I do.
I would too. You got me thinking about
boss
some
people
things.
around a little bit.
You know?
Yeah. So, so with being my own general contractor, I do have control over my projects, which is definitely a plus.
That's great.
But if people are looking to be in and out of your projects, like I know you want to be in and out, I do strongly encourage, especially with the 6-figure blueprint, with having 2 homes, 2 teams, and 1 dream.
Yeah.
I definitely suggest that you're not doing any of the work and you just have a general contractor doing everything. You're just there to basically give the money for the draws to make sure the job is getting done.
There. Wow. So I got a final question for you.
Okay.
And that is, if you were seated right here in front of God and he said, you know what, Stephanie, you can ask me for anything you want right now and I'll say yes, what would you ask for?
All right, don't think this is weird, but
No.
I have a thing. I don't want to die, so I feel like if my family or friends, like eternal life, like here on Earth, maybe. And some people don't want to live on Earth forever. They like trying to go yonder. But for me, I feel like and I say my family or friends, I don't want my family or friends to leave
With
either.
you, yeah.
So I want y'all to be stuck here with me.
Yeah.
But and look good. I don't know if that's a second wish though, but because that was only one. But yeah, still preserve.
We don't want
that
to be
youth.
here on Earth 150 years old because what we doing?
We're not trying to be looking.
Right. We want to be cute.
Yeah. So preserve us at a certain age.
I love that. I
But
love that. That's
yeah,
real beautiful.
I want to see the flying cars and the flying cars one day.
And stay here.
I only seen them in the Fifth Element, I think.
Yeah. No, that's so real.
So yeah, just
I
continue to
love
be
that.
blessed.
Yeah. That's a big part of it.
And to
so,
bless
girl,
others.
Tell everybody where they can find you, how they can get in touch, how they can start working with you. Let us know.
All right. So a lot of people may see me on social media, probably as Stephanie Madeline. My real name's Stephanie Smith, though. Long story. But so you can find me on Facebook. If you type in My Life is Real Estate, I may pop up, Stephanie Smith. On Instagram, I'm at My Life is Real Estate. So those are the only two platforms I use between Facebook and
IG. Here we go. So I'm going to make sure that I link her page information down below. You guys will be able to reach out to her, get in touch with her, ask some questions, get mentored. I'm just so grateful that you came today.
All right.
We learned so much, dog.
Here in LA, from East Coast to West Coast.
We might need to do a part 2. So if y'all want a part 2 as well, comment that below. Email me and let us know part 2 so we can make it happen. All right?
All right.
Love y'all. Thanks for coming to the show and keep elevating. See you guys. Bye. So if you want to be on the next episode of Get Elevated, or if you want to be in touch with me and the team, then you can email podcast@getelevated.com or find me on Instagram and email me at hello@ellietalksmoney.com. Either way, we cannot wait to have you on the show and have you apply to be a guest for a part of the live business coaching. I'll see you guys soon.